I knew something was wrong with her the day she came for the interview. Her whole demeanor seemed odd to me. She had these old framed glasses and a stern face, but she somehow managed to impress us with her professional behavior. She said her name was Jolene. I took her to the children's bedrooms, one after the other. She didn't seem much interested, though. The way she walked was weird, too. Her upper body was slouched, showing her layered belly. I showed her where the toiletries are kept, but she was more interested in watching TV in the hall across.
Jolene? Jolene! Yeah? Did you hear what I just said? Sorry, I got distracted. Please, pay attention.
Soon, Jolene became a presence in the house. My 5-year-old son and 2-year-old daughter are shy kids. They never made a fuss. Jolene was good with them, but she hardly interacted with my kids. She always kept to her job. This is the only reason she kept being our kids' nanny. But soon, things started to change. One day, I entered my son's room and saw him holding his breath. Jolene was folding his clothes and saying,
Don't cheat now. You know you made a mistake.
I opened the door and said,
What's going on here?
My son's face was turning red. I rushed towards him and screamed.
Stop it!
My son exhaled deeply. I turned towards Jolene.
Why was he holding his breath?
No, Mama. I made a mistake. Jolene told me not to mess up the washed clothes. We don't learn without punishment, right?
What the? Jolene? Is this what you're teaching my kids?
My husband rushed into the room, hearing my voice. I explained everything. We both warned Jolene not to punish our kids no matter what. She must inform us first, and we will decide what happens next. Jolene obviously didn't seem much happy about it. I was so mad at her, but I couldn't kick her out of the house because of my husband. I avoided her and cut off her wage for her behavior with my son. Every day after work, Jolene would ask my permission before going home. So one day I was busy doing our taxes. It was around 7 p.m. My kids have yet to go to bed. They wanted to play for some time more, so I let them. Jolene asked me,
Can I go home now? Stay until they go to bed, okay?
She didn't say anything, just looked at me in a very creepy way. A smirk came to her face and she silently left. Time went by and I tucked my kids into bed. My husband and I had dinner and went to bed as usual. It was around 2 in the morning. I woke up feeling thirsty. I came down and didn't bother to switch in the light. The pale moonlight from the window was enough to get by. I poured water into the glass when I felt a deep breath on my shoulder. I turned around and saw a pair of eyes glowing behind me. The owner of the eyes brought her face closer, and I saw it was Jolene.
Can I go home now, ma'am? Oh my god! You're still here? You told me to stay, so... Good lord, Jolene. Yes, you can go home.
I woke my husband up and he drove Jolene home. One day I took my kids to the park for a small picnic. Jolene was holding the pram with my daughter in it. My son ran ahead of us, pointing out to a tree. We sat under the shade of it, and my kids played right in front of my eyes while I had some fresh juice. Jolene was standing in the corner when I saw her looking at a woman. Her face changed. She got nervous, and the woman, too, has started approaching her now. The woman came to us and hugged Jolene.
How are you now? Fine. What are you doing here? I got shifted to the hospital here. Anyways, take care.
She left, and I was confused.
Jolene, how do you know this woman? I had an accident last year. She was a nurse at the Harrington Hospital. She took good care of me.
I couldn't believe her words, because the woman said similar things that made sense about this explanation, but deep down inside, I doubted it all. It was a Saturday night. My husband and I went out for dinner with a couple of friends. Jolene looked off more than ever. She hardly spoke a word after that incident in the park. Kissing my kids goodbye, I left in the car with my husband. On the way back, I called to the hospital where Jolene was admitted. I asked about Jolene's record, and they said they gave me the shocking news. Jolene was a patient there, but she never had any accidents. She was there for 3 years, in the psychiatric ward. I knew she was crazy. I knew there was something wrong with her head. My husband never drove faster than that day in our entire life. When we reached home, our house was in complete darkness. All the lights were turned off. We ran in.
Jolene? Kids? Mom and Dad are back.
Jolene! But it was dead silence. We walked upstairs and I began hearing this slashing sound. I walked into my daughter's bedroom and she was not there in her bed. The bathroom door was wide open, light coming from it, along with the slashing sound. With my shaking body and racing heart, I peeked inside the bathroom. I saw Jolene sitting on the floor facing her back at me. She had a knife in her hand, soaked in blood. She was stabbing something repeatedly. Suddenly, realizing my presence, she looked back, and I saw a demon hiding in human form. Her huge grin told me what I had lost. The story you just saw is loosely based on the terrifying crime in the late afternoon of October 25, 2012, at the La Rochelle apartment building on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Lucia and Leo Krim, aged 6 and 2, were murdered by their nanny, Yoselin Ortega. She was convicted of stabbing the children to death with kitchen knives while their mother, Marina Krim, and 3-year-old sister, Nessie, were a few blocks away at a swimming lesson. Upon returning home, their mother and sister found Lucia and Leo dead in a bathtub at the family apartment. On February 22, 2018, 12 jurors were chosen for Ortega's trial, and opening statements began on March 1st in Manhattan Supreme Court. On April 18, 2018, Ortega was found guilty of first-degree murder and second-degree murder. Ortega was sentenced on May 14, 2018, to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
One time, I took a babysitting gig on Halloween night. It was a couple named Tillman who had a 7-year-old daughter, Pamela. When I reached their house, Mr. and Miss Tillman were ready to go out. Miss Tillman took me inside and pointed at the freezer.
There's plenty of food. Eat whatever you like. And there's extra cash on the kitchen desk to order pizza. Pam has gone to bed already, so you won't have anything to worry about.
A car horn honked outside, and she rushed to the door saying,
I'll just be 3 houses away. Also, you have my number. Have a nice time, Mrs. Tillman.
I watched her driving off in a car. I closed the door and punched the security code to lock the house. The house was massive, and with the Halloween decor, it felt spooky to be the only one awake. I walked to the kitchen. From the big kitchen window, I saw kids running outside. I opened the freezer and took a can of ginger ale. I returned to the living room and switched on the TV to watch a scary movie. Just then, my eyes noticed the half-open door of Miss Tillman's room. It almost gave me a heart attack. I could see 2 bright glowing fireballs glowing in that darkness. I would have screamed if the lightning didn't occur, illuminating the clown statue inside Miss Tillman's bedroom. I exhaled, then got up to go to the room. A storm was about to come. I could hear the dark clouds rumble. My hand searched the wall beside the doorway, and I turned on the lights.
What the hell?
It was the statue of a jester, the professional clown who used to perform in court play. It was the first time I had seen something like this. It had a pointy, oddly shaped head. His eyes were sharp and broad. His attire seemed funny, but only his smile wasn't amusing enough. There was something very wrong with his smile. I noticed a hat with a bell attached under the statue. It must have fallen from his head. I picked it up and put it back on his bald head. I looked closely into his eyes. They were looking behind me, so they were not precisely creating eye contact. Oh, God. The doorbell scared me. Who could it be at this hour? I opened the door to see an empty porch. Slow rain had started by then, and the streets were deserted. Everyone had gone home. I checked around but saw no one. Thinking it was a prank, I went back in, locked the door, and suddenly noticed the room upstairs. The room door was wide open. That's where Pamela, Miss Tillman's 7-year-old daughter, sleeps. I tiptoed and peeked inside. Pam wasn't in her bed, which quickly gave me goosebumps.
Pam? Pam? This isn't funny. Are you hiding in here somewhere? Pam? Sorry, it's Halloween. Oh, you little demon. You gave me a heart attack.
I tucked her back into bed and climbed downstairs. I forgot to switch off the light in Miss Tillman's room. As I went to do that, I again noticed the clown statue. It made me very uncomfortable, so I grabbed the bedsheet and covered the creepy statue. I then switched off the light and closed the door. I came back from watching the TV when Miss Tillman called me.
Hi, I was wondering if you could stay for 2 more hours? My husband will drop you home once we get back. I'll pay you a little extra, Jess. Sure, works for me. Oh, and Mrs. Tillman? Yes? I hope you don't mind. I covered the clown statue in your bedroom. It was freaking me out, so... What? What statue? We don't have any clown statues, honey.
My phone slipped and fell to the ground. I heard it break into pieces, but I couldn't move. My legs felt numb. My body was shaking in fear. I slowly turned around, facing Miss Tillman's bedroom door. It was still closed. The heavy rainstorm was going on outside. I felt my heart racing because there was no way I was mistaken about this clown statue. I opened the door and switched on the lights. What I saw made my stomach drop. There was no statue in the bedroom, only the bedsheet lying curled up on the floor.
Looking for me, Jessica?
Following the spine-chilling voice, I turned to the closet on my right, and there he was, standing inside the closet. I could make out his shadowy appearance and his glowing eyes, but there was something new added to his costume. A baseball bat.
Oh my God!
I freaked out finally. All this time, what I assumed to be a lifeless statue was some creep dressed like a freaky Halloween clown. I rushed to the door and heard heavy footsteps behind me. I looked back and saw him walking towards me, laughing and swinging his bat. I kept crying and screaming as I rushed upstairs, but he grabbed me by my feet and pulled me down. My body scrubbed against the hard wooden stairs as I got dragged by this evil psycho. As I lay on the ground, watching him lift his baseball bat with a huge grin, my life flashed before my eyes.
See you in hell, Jess.
I heard Miss Tillman's voice and her loud knocking on the door.
Jess? Jess! Is everything all right? Open the door!
I was sobbing like a 9-year-old, thinking maybe he would swing the giant bat at me now. My brain would be scattered, and no one would know who did this. But he didn't. Instead, he gave me a death stare and said,
Done for the day, I guess. Happy Halloween.
He then ran to the kitchen. The sound of the window getting smashed echoed in the house, and I fainted. I woke up at the hospital the next day. Mr. and Miss Tillman reported to the cops and came to the hospital as well. I told them everything that I experienced. It's been 3 days now. There's no information on that guy who snooped inside the house and dressed as a clown. The cops got reports of 3 home invasions and 1 murder that same night. Was it all him? Or were there more like him? I don't know. I'm just happy the kid didn't encounter that freak, or she would have been traumatized for life.
There used to be this girl I babysat when I was in high school, and she was in primary school. Her name was Rachel. She was the oldest of 3 girls, and in pretty much every way possible, she was perfect. Her young siblings would always faithfully follow her example, which made babysitting for that family the easiest job I ever had. She was so beautiful too, and I knew she would have a bright future and would be loved by everyone in her life. Honestly, I was a little jealous of that, but I was still sad when she got old enough to take care of herself and her younger siblings. Then, eventually, I went off to college, so for several years I never saw Rachel or her family. In my third year of studying psychology, I finally had a reason to reach out to her and catch up. I was doing a study on the effects of meditation, and I needed some subjects. Since I could use anybody for the study, I decided that the first person I wanted to use was Rachel. She was the perfect person.
Hello? Hi, is this Rachel? It's me, Caroline. Oh my God, Caroline! It's been so long. How are you? I'm good. Been very busy with college. I missed you a lot. I missed you too. I've been struggling a bit with high school. It was better when you were here helping me with my homework. So, anyway, what made you call? Well, I might have an opportunity for you to make some money. I just need to pick your brain about a few things and ask that you keep it a secret. How much money? $100. $100? Deal. Great. Can you meet me tomorrow? I sure can. I'll be at the Richmond station around 5:30 once I get off school.
I was excited to meet up with Rachel as soon as possible. I wasn't in any rush to finish the study, but I just wanted to see her again. I made sure to be there to meet her just before she got there. It's hard to describe just how my heart fluttered when I saw Rachel again. She was even more amazing than I remembered. But the greatest part about seeing her then was that instead of hanging out at her parents' house with her other siblings, I got to take her over to my house for the first time. Just us. We caught up on the train ride over to my part of town, and we got so talkative that I completely forgot to mention the study I was doing. When we got off the train and started walking to my apartment, we passed by a pizza place. We were both a little hungry, so we decided to stop in and get a pie. Afterwards, I also picked up a case of beer. Rachel was a little apprehensive to drink, but I assured her it wouldn't be a problem.
I'm not sure I'm old enough for that, Caroline. Oh, don't worry about it. I'm not your babysitter anymore. It won't hurt to loosen up a little. Well, if you say so.
When we reached my apartment, we hung out for a couple more hours, eating pizza, drinking beer, and just laughing and reminiscing about the old days, really having the best of times. Then, out of nowhere, I remembered I was supposed to be doing a study on Rachel.
Oh, crap. I forgot all about it. I'm sorry. I should have reminded you. No, it's okay. We can still do it. Let me just set up the room.
The study involved recording the difference in a person's mood before and after a 15-minute session of meditation. There was more to it than that, but it's been so many years since then I could hardly remember. I started with a short questionnaire. Then I lit some candles and turned off the lights. Then I guided Rachel through a simple practice of meditation, controlling her breathing, letting go of her thoughts, and becoming mindful of her body and her surroundings. Something strange started happening after a few minutes, though. After I got Rachel in a good state and let her be for a bit, I was supposed to check in on her and ask her the same questions as before. However, she had become almost unresponsive, like she could barely hear me or even remember that I was there. She wouldn't open her eyes either, and even when she did try to respond to me, her words were so slurred together that I couldn't understand a word she was saying. Then, out of nowhere, she fell back on the bed and passed out.
Rachel, are you okay?
She only got worse from there, twitching like she was having some kind of seizure and foaming at the mouth.
Oh my God. Rachel, wake up!
I tried to shake her from the episode, but she was inconsolable. It was almost like she was possessed.
Rachel, please. Are you in there? Rachel? Rachel, if you're awake, tell me now.
There was no response from her, just silence.
Perfect.
Finally, my plan was working. A bunch of greasy food, some alcohol, a bit of calming meditation, and a whole lot of sleeping pills crushed up and sprinkled on her slices of pizza while she wasn't looking was making her totally catatonic and vulnerable. Now, she was completely defenseless. I grabbed the telephone cord on my nightstand and wrapped it around Rachel's neck and then squeezed with all my might. But then, somehow, Rachel woke up.
Caroline, what are you doing?
Shh. Don't fight it.
She was stronger than I thought, but I was always bigger than her. In 1999, an Australian girl named Rachel Barber unknowingly made a decision that would cost her life. Her once trusted babysitter, Caroline Robertson, offered Rachel a seemingly easy and harmless way to earn a bit of quick cash. Little did Rachel know, Caroline had long been jealous of her looks and natural talents and planned to literally replace her and become her. For this to happen, Caroline hatched a plan to lure Rachel into a trap, where she would make it seem like the teenage girl had run away from home and disappeared. But in reality, Caroline planned to make sure Rachel was never seen alive again. Afterwards, Caroline planned to lose 50 pounds, get a nose job, and then even change her name to Rachel Barber. However, after a week of searching for their missing daughter, Caroline Robertson was connected to the disappearance and brought into custody. It took her months to finally admit to the truth of what she did. Caroline Robertson was convicted and sentenced to 20 years in prison, but she was released 5 years early in 2015.